Welcome back to the Grow Like a Mother podcast. Today I'm here with Fiona. Fiona is an international psychic and energetics coach, which feels so exciting. She's a multi-passionate intuitive and shares her time between the psychic medium and tarot readings and also leading classes. So Fiona's focus is helping empathic women like me and many of you tap into their aligned energy so that they can live life to their fullest without the overwhelm and the burnout, which is the most compelling piece of this whole thing. We're going to be talking today about how we can use our intuition and manage our energy. She's going to share her journey of being in a toxic work environment and now in this metaphysical work, how she transitioned from that. I'm just so excited to welcome Fiona. And before I let her on stage, I just want to share with you her motto because I really loved this. And I think this is probably going to be the episode title as well. It's that if you want to change, work from the inside out. So welcome to the show, Fiona.
Hello. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get to speak with you. Your journey is one that we don't hear a whole lot of, like people going from a super corporate environment and being, like quote unquote the normal expected kind of life that we grew up to aspire to, or people tell us
Mhm.
to aspire to, and then sort of switching directions and getting woo and going into this metaphysical work. So I'd love to
Mhm.
hear how that all went for you.
Well, you know what? As I see a lot of things and I speak a lot in tarot, and I feel like it's very much I have experienced the ace through 10 journey. Like I have had all the ups and downs, and I'm so grateful for that because then I can pass that on to other people because they're not alone. They're not alone in this journey. So it started off for me. I originally was teaching in Japan for many years, loving it, came back to Canada for personal reasons and started working in the fitness industry. And the fitness industry is not all rainbows and unicorns, but it provided me joy because I had the mission of helping people. I love helping people. And so I worked in the fitness industry and worked my way up into management. And I ended up managing a health club and managing several different health clubs. And by the end, I was working 70-hour work weeks. I had my phone on 24/7. I had more or less fallen on the sword for everyone and everything. I had emptied my cup completely, even though on the one hand I was talking to women because I predominantly worked with women. I was speaking to them about fill your cup, mind, body, spirit. Meanwhile, I didn't know what the meaning of spirit was, but I was all into it. My health went out the window. I ended up in the hospital. Finances went out the window. I'm blessed that my relationship survived. If it hadn't been for them to say, hey, you know what, I'm here, whatever you need, I don't think I would have made it through as smoothly as I did. But the biggest thing that when I look back on my time, I was a workaholic. The empath in me and the trauma I'd experienced, and in earlier years, I was a people pleaser. So I would be at work, the first person at the gym to unlock the doors, the last person to leave at 10 o'clock at night. I would give, and forget about myself. And just by a whim, I bought a phone reading with another medium near the end of my career there. And they had actually been a manager at the same health club. And they were a medium, and they're like, let me guess, you feel sick after you're done training. You don't feel well after working with everyone. I'm like, yeah, but everybody feels great and happy. I'm like, yeah. Oh, you're a channel and an empath. I wasn't aware that I had been healing everybody. Everybody had been in my energy, and I had been lifting them up just energetically. I was zonked when I came home, but my staff were always happy. Everyone was happy. And that's when I started looking at things differently because I would give to this company, and it is what it is. I would give to the company and I wasn't getting anything back. And I didn't know how to ask. So that's when I made the decision. I had the emotional breakdown, the full on cry, ugly cry, tried to talk, doesn't work out very well with my partner. And he said, just quit. I'm like, no, I'm a double Sag. I don't quit. So I ended up leaving a month later, and I gave myself permission to transition. I didn't know where I was headed. I just knew I couldn't stay there. And that was a huge thing. That was in 2013. I chose me. And that's when my life really started to change. So I took a year, I managed a loose leaf tea store and realized that wasn't for me. And then I moved into finance and I worked as an account manager doing loans and mortgages. I actually enjoyed it. But I didn't like working with that side of money. I liked working with abundance and flow and manifesting, but not this side. So after a year and a half, and then I ended up in the hospital again as a repercussion of over a decade of being unwell. I said to my boss, I can't do this. And she's like, it sucks for you to go, but you're off to something new. You're not normal. You're different. Your energies, you vibe too high for the workplace. And that's when I started taking Reiki. I did my Reiki level 1, 2, 3, a Reiki master teacher within 3 years. And that opened up everything for me. That's when I realized I was a channel. I was an empath. I was clairvoyant. I could see things, feel things. I was receiving messages all along, but stubborn me had been ignoring them. Looking back, I was receiving signs probably 7 years in with the health club, in the fitness industry, but I was ignoring it. And I feel like when we ignore and push things off, that's when things get worse. And I could see repeated cycles because the universe says, if you don't get it the first time, we're going to keep giving it to you until you get it. And that happened in the loose leaf tea shop. And it also happened in the financial job. Nobody's fault but my own, because I wasn't choosing me anymore. I was trying to please. And it was through the Reiki I realized I could work on my energy, my emotions, and I could manifest. I could start creating. And choosing me didn't mean I was failing. Choosing me didn't mean, the world was going to fall apart. It created some difficult conversations with people because they were used to me giving and they were happy to receive. And it was just a change. And so by 2018, 2019, that's when I said, I'm doing this. I'm doing this as a business. I'm going to become a coach. And multi-talented. I was a coach for many different things, didn't understand the business. And it wasn't until 2021, I had lost all my part-time careers because I was resisting going full-time into it. That's when I lost all my different Reiki. I was working in 2 places doing Reiki and I was coaching, but it wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And they all ended their contracts on good terms. And then I got a call the next week to do psychic fairs. And I'm like, and I ended up starting psychic fairs and I was good. I was really good at it. I was amazed. And that's when it all came together. Reiki and then learning tarot and then me just surrendering. Like if I'm going to lose like that week that I didn't have any work, yeah, it was tough. But I got a phone call the next week saying, hey, come do this opportunity. And then I went full-time career psychic and I haven't looked back since 2021. And I have been able to help so many people across Canada. I've traveled across Canada doing psychic fairs. I have clients all over the world who, when I do readings, yes, I read the cards and I tune in and I pull in what the guides are saying, but I'm also a certified life coach and I'm trained in Ho'oponopono, integrated energy therapy. So they also get tools to heal because my view is I'm not here to heal you. I'm here to teach you or show you tools so that you can go away and work on yourself. I'll take you through them and I can do a clearing here, but I want to teach you how to do it yourself. I don't want you to be dependent on me or anyone. I want you to have your own tools. And that's what I just started doing. That's how I moved into the work that I was doing because I had been a teacher and a coach, a fitness coach, and also a teacher in ESL. And I probably have over 20 years of experience just in that. And so I brought that love of teaching, of choosing yourself and the metaphysical, essentially, energy into people's lives that you can read the cards and I can tell you how you're going to fix your love life or your career or, what, but there's more to it. Like, I can help you have the tools so you can help yourself.
Mhm.
And that was essentially my journey. I went through from a roughly 2013 to 2021 like this, but it became a lot easier when I left the corporate world and chose me. There was just a lot of fogginess, but I trusted. I learned to trust and surrender, and it all came together. Everything came together. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my journey in a nutshell.
Wow. And it's so interesting that it was not until you fully released, surrendered, and said, I don't know how, but this is a direction that I want to go. And things just fell into place from that point on. I hear that often with
Mm,
these types of journeys, and it's surprising to the person who's in it, but to the rest of us listening, we're like, oh, we've heard this story a million times. Like, yeah, no, we know that that's the thing. But when
yeah,
it's us, like I just recently left my full-time job in February, and it took me a really long time too to dive into full-time entrepreneurship, but
yeah,
it's fantastic, right? And so
yes.
you wonder, why did I wait so long to like live this life that I really want? And so is that part of the is that part of the passion for you, helping these clients, like to give them the tools to make these choices for themselves?
Yes, because I had been taught in the old school framework of going to a teacher and relying on them to do their work. And that's almost spiritual bypassing, and I don't support that in toxic positivity. So you can take ownership of your own energy, and here are the tools.
Yeah.
And I'm really big on that. And speaking of what you just said there, of what, like, we're in it and then we don't like we can see everybody else's story. It genuinely is a matter of safety and survival why we don't, and we don't understand that we actually have the opportunity to thrive, but we're safe. We know that it's a safety mechanism. It's our um oh, I always mess this up with neuroscience, but it's our is it our reptilian brain or our amygdala that prevents us essentially from, we don't try new things because there's a fear of failure, fear of death. So we want to survive, so we stay safe. And it's not until we're in that moment of choosing surviving over thriving, we don't understand that. So we can hear the story a million times until we're actually faced with that energy, that precipice, like jumping off that cliff. Are we going to fly or are we going to not fly? And we'll always fly. We will always fly. But we don't know that until we've actually done it.
Yeah.
So,
Wow,
yeah.
that's so interesting. I'm curious where you're based in Canada, because I'm in Canada too, and many of my guests are not. So it's always nice to find a fellow Canadian. Where are you located?
I'm in Eastern Ontario. I'm
Okay.
north of Kingston, a little village, Sealy's Bay. But I used to live in Burlington, Ontario. So I know the GTA, and I've traveled over most of Western Canada. So, but I'm based in Eastern Ontario.
Not far from me in Ottawa. That's so
Oh
cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
I love that. That's awesome. Okay, so now that we've got our Canadian, hey, do you know Sally from
yeah,
Toronto out of the way?
yeah.
Can you tell me what are your favorite like energetic management tools? I know that we sort of talked before we hit record about like how, to prepare for the podcast, you got yourself grounded and sort of centered. What does that look like? What are your favorite ways to do this?
My personal preference is I do enjoy doing breath work. I do enjoy just focusing on my breath, inhaling, holding, filling my heart space. I try to do that every morning, even when I sit down into my computer here in my office by myself. I do some breath work and grounding my energy. I have a lot of practice aligning my chakras and my energy. So that's really important to me to ground and also reach up to source because I believe in channeling. So that's one of my big things is coming in, doing the breath work and grounding. I love a good card pull. I do one every day just as an uplifting boost or something maybe I didn't even consider. I believe in card pulls. Um, I have seen things pulling cards that you can't make this stuff up when the
Mhm.
cards fall,
Mhm.
and so I always pull a card just for a boost. And for me, for when we're looking at energy for the day, For me, it's having that time in the morning where I can have my coffee and I just sit. I visualize, I dream just for like 5-10 minutes while I'm having my coffee. I need that quiet time because that visualization is my manifesting tool. It's how I can create my future perfect. I already have my future perfect. So I can start my day off already in that vibration. I already am what I want. So it's that's what those are probably my three biggies is my breath work and alignment, my coffee and visualization, and then my card. That's
You have a
my
deck?
go-to.
Do you have a deck handy? You want to do a card pull for the collective?
Yeah, of course.
Amazing.
I'm not going to do tarot. I'm going to do oracle, just
Awesome.
because tarot tends to there's a lot of meanings in tarot.
Uh-huh.
So let's pull a card for the collective. I'm working with Denise Lynn's Sacred Traveler deck.
Beautiful.
That's the one that I had on hand. That's the one I pulled for myself today and inspired my newsletter for this week.
Oh, I love it.
So let's see here.
And just for the listeners, while Fiona is pulling, this is for anyone listening. Now today, the first day this this podcast is released. This is for anyone listening to a replay. You're all in this space with us right now.
So this is the card we got. It's absolutely beautiful. It's Vast Vistas. Expand your horizons. And it's a gentleman coming out of a box. So, and he's looking out into the horizons towards the future. So when I say, and towards a ship sailing, ships typically represent a journey or prosperity. And he's heading towards a path that is headed downhill. So it's not an obstacle. And it's a beautiful view. So when I see this, essentially for the collective, I would say, you can have any opportunity you desire. You just need to come outside of your current way of thinking. That your paradigm, your probably paradigm or potential ideology, that you have the opportunity to rethink things. If you step outside the box, you could have that opportunity.
Beautiful.
So yes.
Thank you.
Very fitting.
What a fitting message indeed. It always is, right? Like it's always just the perfect one.
Oh, yes.
One thing I also want to pick your brain on is the 3 G's, the grace, gratitude, and gentleness. Can you walk me through that? Because that intrigues me.
So this is something I teach or I offer in my Empath empowerment program. I'm reworking it, but it'll be coming out again later in the fall. But essentially, when we're dealing with predominantly the mind and the body, we have to go to spirit to work that. So the first thing that we can do is work with the energy of gratitude. Gratitude is essentially the opposite of void, negative, low vibration energy. Gratitude is an amplifier for higher vibration. And what I say when we work with gratitude is not to sit there and list off like, I'm happy I have a roof over my house, I'm happy. Like you just start rhyming stuff off mindlessly, but take a moment and sit down. Like for me personally, I recently had some health issues where it was for a year. And then everything's worked out. But so when I sit down and I say, I'm genuinely happy, I'm grateful for my health, because I know what it was like to not have health. So taking a moment and sitting with what you are genuinely happy with, it doesn't have to be a list of 20 things. It's not a competition of what you're grateful for. It's more like choose 1 or 2 things where you can fill your heart with that joy, that happiness. Because when we're grateful, I genuinely believe angels in the universe and the vibration from us is just one of peace. Because when we're an empath, we are like these beautiful, like if you see the radio towers that have like 1 million receivers on them, that's what an empath is. An empath just can absorb everything. And you could do all the protection work and channeling, you're still going to pick stuff up. So when we work with the energy of gratitude, it almost calms all those receivers down and just fills us with a higher vibe and peace. So starting from gratitude as a healing technique, and also one to develop our intuition and help your journey moving forward, is working with gratitude. Just doing that for a couple of minutes either in the morning or at night. I'm a morning person because I like to start my day off, but for some people, if they have trouble sleeping, do this then. And just sit and just say, I'm genuinely grateful for my cats. My cats bring me so much joy. I have 4 of them. They're absolutely loopy, and I'm grateful for that. And just choosing 1 or 2 things that just, and you can feel it. You'll feel it in your heart space. You can even do the dramatic thing and place your hands on. If you're clairsentient, place your hands there. So that's gratitude work. It's just, that's a way to center and almost clear away all that static we receive. The next is grace. We don't know what we don't know, but there's more knowledge out there. So if you want to go from the spiritual woo-woo sense, yes, you can believe in a higher power, a source, the universe. But if you're more like a practical realist, I use that loosely. Grace is very much, there's knowledge out there. We have not read all the books in the library. We physically can't. So we only know what we know. And that's where we bring in gentleness. Be kind with yourself. Be kind. And this is our inner voice, our mind. It takes less than 3 seconds for a thought pattern to form and stick. And when we are working with mindset, in mindset, I genuinely believe it is energy. Like I work with energy. So emotions are energy. It's little e, like E equals MC squared, energy and motion, emotion. What else did I write down here? Yeah, emotions, intention, thought forms are a form of rippling energy. And then we have our soul energy, our electrical beat, because we're bioelectrical beings. Our heart is electrical. Our body is one, like we all have a frequency. So when we're working with energy, that's our thought patterns are huge. So we can't know everything. So we need to be kind. It's so easy. I was speaking about this earlier. It's to a client is that we're cast in everybody's story as a certain role. You know, sometimes I'm the villain, sometimes I'm the savior, sometimes I'm just that crazy lady that with 4 cats. But I don't know what their story is of me. I can only live my own story and be my own star. I am the starring role in my own story. So that's grace. I don't know. I don't know what their story is. I don't know what's ahead, but I look at what I can have and work with here. And it starts with how I think about myself and how I think about my future and rewriting old beliefs, because a lot of us have mindset patterns and beliefs from childhood. It's just normal. It's the way we are in humanity. We raise children and they form our parents' beliefs or our relatives in schools and society's beliefs. And they don't necessarily serve us moving forward. So using grace and gentleness together is we don't have to know everything. So trust and surrender that if we come from a place of gratitude, we will be taken care of, and we need to be kind to ourselves. Because when we're kind to ourselves and how we speak to ourselves and have compassion for ourselves, it heals our vibration and helps us visualize with more ease. So when I work with grace, gratitude, and gentleness, this is all around the mind, but this impacts the body, because when we are kind to ourselves, it reduces stress. So if you have any inflammatory conditions or autoimmune conditions, or you're struggling, for example, with cancer, I'm not saying this will cure it. This will help reduce reactions, help you manage your health. Is complementary to whatever health you are receiving. You may not see huge changes happening on the medical pieces of paper, but you are starting to feel better. I have seen shifts in clients who are going through different forms of medical issues, and they have been able to work through them with way more ease because they work with grace, gratitude, and gentleness. I've seen people go through relationship struggles where they were in codependent relationships, come to their own epiphanies. Because I as an intuitive and a psychic and a teacher, I will never tell you what you have to do. I will give you future possibilities, but it's through this grace and knowing that I don't know and you don't have to know, but listen to how you feel. And the only way you can listen to how you feel is if you quiet the noise and you're kind to yourself. And that's through the gratitude and gentleness. So I could talk all day about these three and how we move forward, but that's essentially how I bring them forward. I talk about grace, gentleness, and gratitude in lesson number 3, essentially, because there's just so much weight with it. And it takes some time to surrender, because we are such a control, like we must get it right, especially when we're empaths. At some point we've had to protect ourselves, and we have become people pleasers, and now we may be in a safe environment. We can't turn that off because it has become just our nature. So trusting and surrendering to something bigger, that takes time. And so I use different techniques like Ho'oponopono or Qigong to just show these different methods to release the emotions that are blocking you from attempting grace. you know or for some people, gratitude is just like they may have a poor relationship with maybe a mentor or somebody they cared about in regards to being thankful. So it takes time to heal and release. And the same with gentleness. Sometimes, well, intrusive thoughts and negative thought patterns can get in way of that one very quickly. So that takes time. I don't believe in toxic positivity where you suddenly rewrite, I'm totally happy now, I'm ready to go. That's baloney. It takes time, and it's what I say to clients is, let that negative voice come up, but it's that negative voice. Recognize it for what it is, and just say, I don't want you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then choose the voice you want. That takes time, because that voice it likes to take the path of least resistance. It's wired in there, and that's where like alpha wave work and meditation and working with intention, it can help with the rewiring and repatterning. But don't avoid it. You can't, like, if it comes up, that's okay. That's okay. But what's even better now, the golden nugget is, you don't want it, and you can rewire it. So go ahead and do it. So it's through the journey of the 3 Gs that people can have that aha and recognize when something comes to surface, they can work with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's through the grace that they just say, well, I have no control over it right now, other than I'm going to deal with it, and I know it's going to get better. And so there's a great card in the Rebecca Campbell deck. I talk in cards. In the Starseed Oracle deck, where it's micromanaging, trying to hold on to things. If you try to hold on to things, they'll slip away a lot faster. It's like trying to grab sand. So it's like that grace and surrender. And then it will form a beautiful shape ahead of you, as opposed to you trying to hold on to it. Let it form in front of you, and it's all yours.
Yeah.
So yes.
I'm picturing these 3 Gs as circles in like a Venn diagram,
Yep.
And sort of where they overlap is like your truth, your alignment, your like best version of you. And I think that's
Exactly.
so cool. And is this like, I'm curious. So I'm imagining myself as a listener now, hearing you, Fiona, and saying like, oh, this lady's got the stuff I need. Like she's got the juju, right? Like, is it, you teach obviously these 3 Gs amongst other modalities and healing techniques in your program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I do have a couple of programs right now. Over the summer, if you're catching this during the summer, I'm working on psychic development. A lot of people go a little bit like, psychic. I genuinely believe psychic literally means unseen, and your intuition is your unseen voice. So when I do psychic development work, what I'm doing is working with people and teaching them how to understand the messages they're receiving from their higher self, their intuition. Everyone is born with clairvoyance, clairaudience, the ability to see things, know things, claircognizance. We just don't practice it in school. So like any sense or muscle, it dulls out. Everyone has it. I have worked with clients from office workers to VPs to stay-at-home moms or mompreneurs. I've worked with the gauntlet of women who have been able to activate and understand these messages So when I do psychic development, it's AKA intuitive development, working with these clear senses. So I offer psychic development level 1 and 2. And in the fall, I'll be bringing back my empath empowerment class, which essentially is focusing on energy management. So grounding, clearing, and protecting your energy. And then healing modalities. I will be bringing a few healing modalities. Then I'll be working on, I love working with, in this empath program, um, conflict resolution and how to communicate. I do have a background in conflict management and helping communicate and bridging gaps. And for empaths, that's a huge thing, like expressing their needs. So I literally have different scripts that they can follow that have been proven to be successful. So I work with them in role playing and build their confidence and energy around communication. And then we work on manifesting. So that course will be coming out. That'll be a combination of intuition development. I'll just use that word, plus communication and energetics, and then manifesting. That program will be coming out in October, probably October. And that's essentially the empath empowerment guide to more or less no longer feeling stuck and working towards your dreams. And so that will be the big group program. And then I'll have these other small programs if you want to hop in and learn about tarot, learn about, I'll have online courses on Reiki or energy healing so you can work on yourself. Because I get some people aren't ready for the big stuff. Maybe they just want to dabble and see who I am. So I've got a variety of ways you can work with me or check in and start working with your energy and healing. But my bigger course is launching in October. That will be the Empath's Guide, essentially for getting unstuck. And essentially it's my almost, I'd say, 8-year journey of my up and downs condensed so that you don't have to go through what I went through.
It sounds like everything I needed when I was first starting in like spirituality and personal development. This is so valuable. What an incredible offering. I love the work that you do. I hope everyone is going to check the show notes because I'm for sure going to make sure we put in all of the links or wherever the best way is to find out about these. You had mentioned to me before you have an email list, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So all of that will be in there.
Yeah, I'm multi-talented, multifaceted, neurodivergent, neurospicy, as I say.
Yeah.
So yes, I do have YouTube, Instagram. I'm on all the social media. I've got a lot of free content because I understand, some people are just in tough times. So I've got a lot of free stuff you can access me. And then I've got stuff where if you're ready to commit and invest in yourself, I've got a lot of quality material that can work based on what your needs are.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to continue to follow along and learn from you because the way that you describe things really resonates with me. I find it very easy to understand, follow along, and I think that the listeners will as well. So I just thank you for your time and your wisdom today, Fiona. It was such a gift to chat with
Thank
you.
you. It was wonderful being here. Thank you for having me.